welcome to Porfection's Quick Date Car Date with Josh. Today we've got a JL Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Sahara edition. Believe it or not, let's just talk a minute about the number of models that Wranglers have. You can choose between, I had to write this down, there's so many. You can choose between a Sport, a Willys Sport, a Sport S, a Willys, Sport Altitude, Sahara, Rubicon, Sport RHD, Sahara Altitude, High Tide, High Altitude, Rubicon 392. Now you have up to 4 engine choices, 2 body styles, 2 and 4 door, and 3 roof options. I want to talk a little bit today because one of the things that we started to have trouble with was between the roof choices and the engine choices. We had a 2020 model with the hardtop, and we have this 2021. I want to go over what the options are on this 2021 using the 2022 pricing from Dodge's or Jeep's website. So an Altitude starts at $46,935. They come pretty well loaded. You've got things like standard leather and navigation and upgraded stereo. What the Altitude does give you is this blackout package where you have black trim, black grille inserts, black wheels, etc. This one also has the cold weather group, which gives you your heated front seats, steering wheel and remote start. That's $845. The safety group gives you blind spot monitoring and park sense. That's $1,095. The trailer tow package gives you a class 2 hitch, your wiring harnesses, heavy duty alternator and battery. That's $995. Now what's been changing a lot is the engine options as far as the pricing. So when we bought our 2020, the turbo 4-cylinder was actually an option over the V6. Now, actually, you can still get the V6 with the 6-speed manual, but when you get the 2-liter turbo, you actually get a $500 credit. However, that mandates you to then get the automatic transmission. So the difference of all that, the credit and the transmission, it ends up being a $2,000 option. We ordered the anti-spin axle. I can't tell you why. It sounded good. You would think a Jeep should have anti-spin everything. So we got an anti-spin axle for $595. Because we live in the upper Midwest, sorry, still getting over a cough. We ordered the full-time 4-wheel drive system, the Select Track system, for $695, so that automatically turns on and off the 4-wheel drive system as you encounter slippery conditions. Throw in some plastic door sill guards and all-weather floor mats for $125 and $170 respectively. And then the roof. So this one is equipped with the Sky Touch or Sky One Touch roof for $2,050. So to equip one like this would cost today $55,805. And do note that most of the color options are roughly $400 more than that. This one was, as far as I know, a 1-year color option of Nacho. I do want to talk briefly about the engine choices. Again, that is something we struggled with. I'm not a fan of small 4-cylinder turbo engines. But let me give you some data on these, because the data really reflects in the driving dynamics of the vehicle. So the 4-cylinder is rated at 270 horsepower and 290 foot-pounds of torque, versus the V6 at 285 and 260 foot-pounds of torque. The diesel has 260 horsepower and 442 foot-pounds of torque. I don't have personal knowledge of the diesel, so most of my commentary is going to be comparing the 4-cylinder versus the V6. I have had that V6 in other vehicles, including a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and also have driven that in others. So even though the power numbers are very, very similar, the driving dynamic is very different, and here's why. It's the RPM in which you get the torque out of the engine. So the 4-cylinder torque peak is at 3,000 RPM versus the V6 at 4,800. So that 35 foot-pounds-feet of torque difference is at very different RPMs. Also of note, there's nearly 50 foot-pounds of torque difference at 2,000 RPM. So basically, when you come to a stop or you're off-road and you go to push the accelerator, you get a lot more grunt off the line with that 4-cylinder. And again, I'm overall anti 4-cylinder turbos, small little motors, but there's very little torque lag. It works very well with the 8-speed automatic transmission, very little lag, and you get that torque very low down in the RPM curve, versus that V6 where you really have to kind of wind it out. So I say in this vehicle, I prefer the 4-cylinder. Just because of what you're usually doing with the vehicle. Lower speeds, anything off-road, I think you're going to be much happier with the 4-cylinder. The gas mileage is not that different. You're talking about 23 combined with the 4-cylinder versus 21 with the V6. Just of note, it's 25 with the diesel. The 4-cylinder does require premium fuel. But again, I think it really suits the vehicle that you're driving in. Let's switch and talk about the roof options, because I still don't know if we got it right. So we looked originally at the soft top. Probably a lot of you watching this video are pretty familiar with the Jeep soft top operation, or difficulty in moving things back and forth. And I know some people will say, well, that it wasn't too difficult at all. But if you're at a stoplight or pull into a parking lot real quick and you have 30 seconds, to me, that's a little bit more difficult. So the 2020 model we actually had the hard top. And it worked quite nice if you only wish to open up the area right above the driver's and front passenger's head. It works a lot like T-tops would if you're my age and you're familiar with a lot of those 1980s cars. But you know, couple levers, pull them out, put them in the back. It's very easy to open up that top. Of course, taking off the entire back then, which is all one piece, it is an entirely different story. The Sky One Touch is very nice, but we've been conflicted, and I'll show in just a second how far that opens. But you do get quite a bit of wind noise. Car washes you're a little concerned about. You're really not supposed to go through anything but a brushless type car wash. And being up here where you're trying to wash salt off your car quite frequently, you just don't have a lot of options there. But the buffeting and wind noise is concerning in our experience. So we'll compare those kinds of differences between the soft, the one touch, and the hard. Usually it takes more touches to make that happen. Anyway, but we'll compare kind of a little bit about what those do and how the one touch roof operates. So again, there's basically about $1,000 price difference between the hard top with those two quick out removable front panels, and then of course the whole rear lifts off with you know, you got to break out the tools to do that. So let's do a walk around, and then let's do a quick review of the interior. Okay, I'm going to carry the camera with me, so may get some shots that aren't the best in the world. So let's look under the hood, because when you're doing a car review, that's just something you got to do. So you flip that, push the hood down, the little latch pops right out. You've got a lever under here, just move that to the side, and there is Jeep's 2-liter turbo engine. Everything's nice and easily accessible. The engine compartment is tight. As you know, the fenders come in and kind of narrow the area under the hood a bit. You'll notice the blackout grille that I talked about earlier that I may have been partially sitting in front of. Also, you get the blackout surround around the lights with the altitude additions. The black wheels, we did replace. Of course, they come with the little antenna that screws in, little wire antenna like a 1970s vehicle. Those are easily available aftermarket. My wife is about 5'4". She does frequently use those running boards quite a bit. You know, a lot of vehicles come with running boards, and you just end up getting your pants dirty getting out, and you try to step over them. They're just not right. But once you get to this height, she does make use of those. I usually step over, hit my pants, and leave a black mark on them, but that's the way it goes. Standard operation of the rear gate. The gate opens first, and then we have the lift up glass. That's a standard full-size carry-on suitcase, just for reference. This bag in the back is what holds your, with the One Touch, it holds your pop-out rear glass pieces. So these just pop right out. You see, you just flip that handle and that one, and they come out just like an old T-top would, but from the side. So really, with the windows down, it really opens up the space there. I'm closing it up in the wrong order. I still don't have it right. Moving on to the interior, let's check out that roof. So again, it is One Touch. It's right beside you have your garage entry, and then right up here is your One Touch. And you can stop it part way, or you can just hit it once and it'll open all the way back. And it just folds up and slides to the back. So it is very convenient. As you're sitting here, you do really feel like you're in a convertible. Going around to the back now, I'm 6'1". I've got the seat moved up where I'm very comfortable. I could have another inch, but very comfortable. Still have a couple inches before I hit the front dash, and I can sit behind myself, you know, with ease. I've got you know, another inch back here. They've got these cut out in the seat and a map pocket. Since we're in the back, you do have this flip down armrest. It's got some cup holders in there. You have rear vents. You have an outlet, and a little bit of storage that you could put a phone or what have you. Obviously, we have a full-size car seat back here. Plenty of room for that. Where you will notice a little bit of where you got to kind of negotiate with who sits in the middle of a vehicle. There's just not much room for three across if you're doing a car seat, and it's very tight with three regular people as well. Entry is a bit difficult because you do have this front of the wheel well that kind of makes for a slightly narrow opening. It's never bothered me, but do know that it's you do have to contort just a bit to get in and out. Here from the outside is that roof. It just kind of folds up like an accordion. And moving in, standard, what is it now, Stellantis. They keep changing ownership, but standard Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge interface and tech up here. Still like buttons. I'm a button person. I'd rather have 50 buttons than a touch screen where you go 3 layers deep to try to find something. But still, the touch screen and what is offered on there is very very accessible, very nice to use, and a lot of redundant controls for a lot of your other functions. Again, this is the all-wheel drive type system. So of course you can lock it into 2 high. You can come down to 4 high auto, and it will switch between 2 and 4 wheel depending on driving conditions. And then of course you can lock it into 4 high and 4 low. You have 2 cup holders up here, plenty of storage here in 2 levels of storage. The leather is fine. I mean, obviously it's a Jeep Wrangler. We're not looking at a Mercedes or high-end Porsche here. The leather is nice. It's not so soft that you're going to worry about easily scratching it, which is good. So overall, I was very impressed with the leather interior, as well, especially when you keep in mind its intended function. Standard glove box, little on the small side. The seats are comfortable. They adjust with straps. Of course, they are manual. Which again has never bothered me. Sometimes it's a lot easier just to slide it back as you're getting in to it if my wife was the last driver, and away I go, instead of crunching up in there, reaching for the seat button, waiting for it to go back. So sometimes simple is better. So that concludes the walk around of the Jeep. We'll give it our conclusion, and then we'll give it our relationship score. So of all the cars that I've graded as we started this channel, and I went through on the intro video and kind of gave a grade to every car that I've ever owned on a 1 through 5, what I call a relationship score. So whether that's a hookup, a fling, a girlfriend, take it home to mother, or marry it forever. This one is the one that I struggle with the most, because it is a very compromised vehicle. You know, a lot of what you expect a vehicle to do, to drive down the interstate at 80 miles an hour like a normal car does. This is not that car. You have the old recirculating ball type steering system. The wind blows, the wind buffets, it wanders on the interstate. If it's loaded down, it gets even a little more touchy as you're going down the interstate. So you know, there's gas mileage running at 80, drops at a precipitous pace. Just a lot of compromises here, but yet at the same time there's just so much to enjoy. And I tell you that if you're a Jeep person watching this video, I get it. I tend to gravitate a little bit more toward the sports car segment and so forth, but you know, going around town, if you take it, I mean, we haven't done any hard off-roading or something, but you hit a little trail, the weather's nice, you just slide off the top. What a unique, fun vehicle. And the proportions are a little bit more tidy than the new Bronco, so I do like that. A Bronco, to me, just kind of looks a little bloated, and with those kind of fender flares that look more tacked on. I like the clean kind of lines of the Jeep. I do, but unfortunately I would have to give it a score of 3 out of 5 because of those compromises. But yet, just keep in mind, I'm not knocking the Jeep. It's the compromises that make the Jeep. So please tune in to the channel. As I indicated on the first review, we're going to do a lot of Porsche ownership type content on the channel. However, we are going to do a number of these quick take car dates of other cars that I own, or other cars that we test. So please come along for the ride and hit that like and subscribe button so that you don't miss any of my infrequent updates. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.